Available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Better get the cool slow, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. Social media influencer Jen Hamilton says that all men should start out in jail and earn their way out. Now, during an interview that basically looked like a crash out to me, social media influencer Jen Hamilton, in her profile for The Cut, talked about her separation from her estranged husband, Brian Hamilton. And as she talked about her separation from her estranged husband, Brian Hamilton, she talked about how she believed that all men should start out in jail and earn their way out, as she ranted about how her whole life has basically changed regarding the separation from her husband. And as she ranted about this separation from her husband, she then went on in this rant to go out here and talk about how this husband had cheated on her. And basically that was one of the reasons why she wanted to go out here and say that men should start out in jail and earn their way out. So let me get this straight, because the marriage you had to this man after 15 years didn't work out. All men should be in jail and should have to try to work their way out of jail. Where does this logic make any sense? Oh wait, it's a woman in her feelings, so we know this isn't logical at all. So Jen Hamilton is one of these social media influencers who's one of these educated women who went out here and wrote a best-selling book. And as she wrote this best-selling book, according to what I saw on TikTok, she got involved with this guy, Brian, who had no job. And what happened with Jen Hamilton is basically what happens to many black women in the black community who were single, successful, and well-educated. They're so caught up in their own success that they can't see that the man that they're with basically feels completely emasculated in their presence. And this is one of the reasons why many of those black women wind up on a road to the paradigm of failure I talk about in depth in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. And what happened with Jen Hamilton, this white woman, is the same thing that happens to many of the single, successful, well-educated black women who went out here and got themselves one of these Pookie type boyfriends. What happened with her is that as she was out here in her success, basically this man was feeling completely emasculated by being in the presence of this woman. And as he felt completely emasculated in the presence of this woman, what happened was this man basically just started participating in passive-aggressive behavior in an effort to try to establish dominance in the relationship. And from the clip that I saw, it said that basically this guy would make her mow the grass in order to go out here, and while he was out here just being around in the house doing nothing, while she was funding this guy's life, what happened was this guy basically was in the house doing nothing, thinking he was running things, but saw how this woman was the one paying the bills, saw how this woman was the one who possibly had the house in her name and was the one making all the money, and decided to diss her by going out here and having an affair with a 56-year-old woman. And that showed the mommy issues that this guy had as related to the codependent relationships he was looking to get involved with, because all of his relationships really are about him having serious issues as related to power. First, he gets involved with Jen Hamilton, the single, successful, well-educated woman. Then he gets involved with this woman who's 56 years old, again, looking for a mommy because he doesn't want to take the lead in his life at all, just like Pookie. All that makes many of these males feel completely emasculated, and as these males start to feel emasculated, this is where they continue to escalate their behavior in an effort to try to establish dominance so that they can try to be the man in the role that God established. But as they see this woman having more and more power and them getting more and more attention from places like social media, what happens with these men is that they start to become deeply frustrated about the state of their lives. And that's what led to this guy, Brian, possibly thinking of going out here and cheating on Jen Hamilton. He didn't care about this woman being blonde and beautiful and all that stuff anymore because he felt powerless in the relationship. And as he felt powerless in the relationship, that's where he went out here and had this affair. And she tried to go out here and keep up the appearance, but there's no way to keep up an appearance. And now that everything has fallen completely apart, Jen Hamilton wants to go out here and say, oh, it's all men who should be in jail, when the critical question I have to ask is, why did you pick this man to be involved with? And when it comes down to women like this, they don't really see how they are the real problem, because they're the ones who pick these Pookie type guys. And as they pick these Pookie type guys, they don't understand that it's their whole need to go out here and be the one in charge of the relationship that basically drives this man to go out here and look to go out here and participate in this antisocial behavior. Again, went out here, you got with a guy with no job, you got with a guy who had nothing at all. And as you got with this guy, you were sitting there not understanding that, again, God made the man to be the leader, the man to be the head. And now, because this man did you wrong, what you want to say is all men need to be in prison and work their way out. And I have to say, nope, that's not how it works at all. Nope. Men do not belong in prison if they haven't done anything wrong. And I know that this woman is basically coming out of her feelings because she felt that she was done dirty. But the whole thing is she was complicit in the dirt, like many of these single, successful, well-educated black women. They went out here, they get with the Pookie type guys. They think they can run and control these dudes. And then when these guys go out here and cheat behind their backs, that's when they basically just fall completely apart and want to blame all men for the choices they made. But when it comes down to this woman, again, just like the black women out here, you can't say that all men need to be in prison and earn their way out because you had a fucked up relationship with a guy you should have never got involved with. Nope. When it comes down to our society, again, God made the man to be the head and the steward. He made the man to go out here and be the leader of everything. And if our men are in jail, guess what? They're not able to lead anything. And all of society would fall completely into chaos if these women were in charge of everything. Because when it comes down to many of these women basically, again, they are emotional creatures. And as they get in their feelings, they make irrational statements like this. And after they make irrational statements like this, they don't think about the consequences of their statements. Moreover, when it comes down to women, they also get jealous of other women. So if all the men are in jail, you would have nothing but anarchy and chaos because many of these women act impulsively on their feelings. And as they act impulsively on their feelings, they don't think about the consequences of their actions. They don't think critically about the consequences of their actions, but they want to be in the driver's seat like a Jen Hamilton. This woman wanted to be in the driver's seat, and like many of the black women out here, but we see just like the black women who basically learn from this white woman how to be a feminist. Basically, she's on the same road to the same paradigm of failure that many black women have been on for the last 30, 40 years. When it comes down to many of the black women out here, they have been in the same place that this Jen Hamilton has been. Again, yeah, you are this prominent woman with this big time career, but the guy you got basically is one of these weak dudes because many of the men who are out here who are basically strong don't want nothing to do with you because you're all about yourself and completely full of yourself, possibly talking all about your degrees or talking about all other different stuff and never thinking once about this man in any way as related to how he feels or what he's thinking about. Nope, don't care about that, man. He's nothing more than a Ken doll in the relationship. And as he's the Ken doll in the relationship, he's not in a place where he can be the man to your Barbie. Nope, he can't be the man in any way, shape, or form. And as he's out here being a male, basically feels invisible. And I'm not justifying the cheating, but this is what happens when women get involved with guys who have no leadership skills or attract guys with no leadership skills. Again, when it comes down to these feminist indoctrinated women, these are the type of guys that they basically wind up attracting, these effeminate guys, these players, these weak males. And again, because these men feel frustrated about not being in a place where they can be the man, they go out here and again, they'll stay with this woman and live the high life, but then they'll go out here and have other women on the side, and they'll have the other women and have the relationship they want with the side piece, and then just live off this main woman. But that's not a reason why men should have to earn their way out of jail. No, when it comes down to these women, they create their own prison by going out here and picking these type of guys, and they never take that look inward. They never self-reflect. I noticed that about many of these women, regardless of race, whether it be these Asian women in China, Korea, and Japan, who again have taken that poison chicken soup, or many of the black women out here, or this white blonde woman, again, white blonde beautiful woman, according to white supremacy standards, and she's having the same result because they follow the same pattern of feminism that creates this paradigm of failure that's been failing ever since the days of the suffragist movement. Again, these women don't want to follow God's order. They want to go their own way, and as they go their own way, they wind up getting played over and over again, and they're the ones who wind up in a prison that they can't earn their way out with their degrees. They can't earn their way out with a job. Nope, can't earn their way out because they basically, again, were the ones who put themselves there with these Pookie type guys and attract these Pookie type guys because they gas their heads up, tell them what they want to hear, and then as they're told what they want to hear, they wind up getting played by the same dudes. And it's a pattern that I'm seeing, again, not going beyond race as related to things, and shows me how the whole dating marketplace and the whole world of marriage has become a sad state of affairs, because you have a woman, again, never taking that look to reflect on herself and reflect on her poor choices, doesn't want to take that look and examine herself, doesn't want to say, hey, where did I go wrong as related to things? Nope, she goes out here, crashes completely out, talks about how men need to be in prison and work their way out, even though men did not do this. No, at the end of the day, when it comes to this modern woman, she basically winds up in these situations as related to failed relationships due to her poor choices. And instead of her taking responsibility for her choices, she lashes out emotionally, again, talking about men need to be in prison and work their way out, when the thing that they need to do is start working things out with a therapist so that they can go out here and take a critical look at themselves before they get involved with their next relationship. Now, if you want to learn how to avoid this paradigm of failure, or not to get in this paradigm of failure, a model of failure that has basically led to many generations of women winding up single and on the road to bust downtown like Jen Hamilton, who will be soon there with a bottle of wine and her cats, you can go out here and pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, to learn why many women's relationships don't work in this 21st century because of dysfunctional ideas they learned in the 20th century and were passed on as a culture in the 20th century. You can find that book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find Why 70% of Black Women Are Single at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and Big big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to learn why many women like Jen Hamilton are in the situation they're in, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Woman Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to see me go out here and take women like Jen Hamilton to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App to help me stay on the air by clicking the link in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Esteem a New Woman. The devilish diva starts on the road to becoming a new creature in Christ in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem a New Woman at Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.